Oh wait, I don't know if you. I hope you can. Oh, there we
just
go.
hold on. Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How you guys
So,
doing?
alhamdulillah.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam. How are you?
Sorry guys, I'm just scrambling here. I just got home literally right now and
That is good.
trying
Take
to.
your time.
Okay, so I'm trying to get this all figured out with the OBS, and I'm thinking if I have my tablet casting the presentation, that might be better. What do you guys think? I don't know.
Well, I have some good news for you, Ustad. So if you share your screen and you have the presentation, right? You're sharing the presentation on Discord. So we have this
Yep.
wonderful brother here, Sebastian. He's recording through Discord, so he can just you can leave everything up to him. MashaAllah, he will get it done. So all you need to do is just stream the presentation on Discord, and yeah, all should be well.
Inshallah, that'd be good. Alhamdulillah.
Inshallah,
Eventually, I'll figure it out. I know that it's doable, but we'll just do it this way, inshallah.
inshallah. Okay.
Uncle Dawood, Mr. Bean.
All right. So yeah. So I'll go down
Surprised
now.
me how long Mr. Bean has lasted a long time, like popularity. It was old when I was a kid. Like my parents were like, that was like they're like, oh, we remember that. He's an OG.
Oh, I wonder how old he is now. He's probably very old now.
He's a khabith though. He's definitely a vile individual, but he's like he transcends kind of language, right? Like Arabs watch him and
Yep.
all right, chat. Let's get into our adab mode. Okay, so let me just pull up the presentation, inshallah. Hopefully you guys went over the class from yesterday, inshallah. And it's a lot of it's like it's just kind of like theory stuff. It's not necessary, but it's good to kind of go through that as well, I think. Okay, slideshow. Okay, from current slide. And third screen. You guys see the presentation?
Alhamdulillah. Yes, we can.
All right.
All right, then. Let's get started.
Okay. Is there a way to? I'd like to see the chat, but I'd also like to. How do I minimize the? Sorry, guys. Just trying to make it so that I can only see the chat. Is there a way for me to like unpin the chat and
I don't think so. No.
how do I do this? Okay. Okay. Good enough. All right. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. Okay, so just we're gonna do a super quick recap from yesterday. If it goes over your head, don't worry about it. So we talked about, can you guys hear, Mr. Bean? Everybody else can hear? Assalamu alaikum. Okay. So we talked about laf, which is an utterance. That was anything that comes out of the mouth. That was broken down into meaningless utterances. So basically, if you just make sounds that don't mean anything, then that's one type of an utterance. The other was a meaningful utterance, which is called a word. Okay, so a certain sound comes out, banana, right? Those sounds that came out come together and they formed a word which has a meaning. Okay, meaningless utterances, we don't really care about them because we don't deal with that in language. This was broken down into two parts. One is isolated words, so meaning just single words. So one proclamation or one utterance. If I just say banana, that's one word in one pronouncement. Or it could be compound, murakkab, meaning that I say multiple words in one utterance. So, for example, if I say the yellow banana, that's one utterance, it's two words. If I say the banana is yellow, that's two utterances, and so those are both murakkab. Okay, don't really worry about this taqsim or this division. We just went over it because that's the way that grammarians usually break it down. Okay, so no questions. All right, we're going to talk about parts of speech. What are they? So I never really knew much about the parts of speech in English, like at any kind of significant level. So Arabic really forced me to learn this. So they are categories to which a word is assigned in accordance with its syntactic functions. Okay, so the basically in Nahu, in syntax or this Arabic grammar, you could say, each word is doing something in the sentence. They all have roles and what purpose they're serving, and the parts of speech that will tell you what it's doing in the sentence. So if we look at English, the main parts of speech are nouns, pronouns, adjectives, determiners, verbs, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, and interjections. Okay, so we see this little chart here. But there's too many of them. You know, why would you want to have so many parts of speech? Okay, so that's English. Let's go to the Arabic parts of speech, and they are actually three. That's it. Only has three parts of speech. This means that every Arabic word will fall into one of three types. They are, so now we're going to go over them. The ism, the fi'l, and the harf. Okay, so take a second here to, hopefully you guys have pens and papers and you're not like, on the Muslim general chat right now, trying to do two things. These three terms you need to know 100%. You have to know what these are. We're going to explain them, but you need to know these names. Okay, for right now you need to know them, but also for future you need to know them in particular. When you're reading books of tafsir or whatever it may be, anything language related, they'll always be referring to these parts of speech, right? So it's very, very important that you actually know what they are. Okay, so ism, fi'l, and harf. Okay, you have to exercise your ayns and your has for Sebastian. Okay, let's talk about the ism. Ism is commonly translated as a noun, i.e. the name of a person, place, thing, or idea. However, it may refer to nouns, pronouns, adjectives, adverbs, or interjections. So it's much more than a noun, and you'll see that many books translate it as noun, which is not very accurate because you have adjectives all over the place, you have pronouns all over the place. So I don't really like to translate it, to be honest. I just like to say ism. So it's its own term. The ism has no tense, past, present, or future, and is defined as a word that has an independent meaning and free from tense. I was probably supposed to separate that bullet there, but so basically it has no tense and it has an independent meaning. So when those sounds come together, banana, right? It has an independent meaning, meaning that it doesn't rely on another word to give you to tell you what the referent is. It's referring to that fruit, the yellow fruit that we love so much. Okay? That's what this word does. But there's no tense built into the word. Like you're like, oh, that's past tense banana, right? That it's not really relevant to the word. The ism is defined as a word that has an independent meaning and is free from tense. Okay, so sorry, the slides are a little bit sloppy, but you get the idea. This last point, this is what I want you guys to memorize. You need to know this. The ism is a word. That's the beginning. All three parts of speech, they're words. And how do we differentiate them? This one has an independent meaning, but no tense. Okay? This is what we want to take away from this. And obviously, when we define the others, they're going to differ in some way. So usually when you define something, you want to include a certain set, and then you want to differentiate between that set, right? So you kind of make it general, and then you exclusify it even more. So every word is going to be either an ism, a fi'l, or harf. But how do those three differ from each other? We're going to use the meaning and the tense as ways to differentiate. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Examples of the ism. Okay. Now we're going to go over a boatload of examples to really drive the point home. Okay. So Zaid, this is an ism. This is the proper noun. Dean, our lovely brother Dean, this is a name, and it's a proper noun. So it's an ism. Muhammad, another name. Qalam, a pen. This is a noun. Kalima, so the word for word is kalima. Kalimatan, two words. Okay, so despite it being dual, it actually is an ism. It's a single ism. Okay, and Arabic has a really interesting system of making the brother, please just the name Muhammad is the name Muhammad. Please, you don't need to tell me to send salah and salam the Prophet sallam. When I say the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's name, I will say that. So please, inshallah, ease up here. So kalimatan, two words. Kalimat, three or more words. Okay, so these are all examples of isms, and these are more like nouns of different types. Hasan, beautiful, handsome. Okay, so this is an adjective, right? This word is used to describe. It's not like beautiful is like an entity that exists. Qabih, ugly. Okay, like apus, qabihun. Apostate prophet is ugly. Fuqara, poor, plural. So these are adjectives, and I'm just giving you example. Like, I'm just really trying to exhaust it so you get the point. So now we're gonna mention some words which are used as like an adverbial. So qabl, right? So qabl means before. Yawma, the day when, like usually this will yawmun is like a day, but when you have this in kind of a possessive structure, it's going to be like an adverbial, like yawma taqumu sa'a, the day on which the hour will be established, right? So it's used as an adverbial. Ida, I'm sure we all know Ida ja'a nasrullahi wal fath, when the time when the help of Allah comes and victory or whatever, however you want to translate it. So Ida is an ism. Ajma'un, all together, right? وَسَجَدَ الْمَلَائِكَةُ كُلُّهُمْ أَجْمَعُونَ إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ. So this is another word which is used, and this is like a special type of word, but I'm just trying to really, I just want to overload you guys with these so you get the idea of how many different types of words it actually includes. So huwa, which is a pronoun for, it's a third person, singular, masculine, he. There's 14 kind of conjugations of pronouns that we'll inshallah learn. So it's a very interesting system. Iyaka, you. So this is a different type of pronoun that we'll talk about inshallah. And it's fard to know this one because Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Yeah, brothers in the chat, like, let's just chill out with the conversation. It's kind of distracting. Inshallah. نحن, we. هذا, this. أولئك, those. This is, so these are demonstrative pronouns. These three up here, huwa, iyaka, nahnu, these are personal pronouns. So these are called ضمائر or ضمير. And هذا, this is a demonstrative pronoun. So you have like the pronoun aspect, but you're also doing some kind of indication towards something near, something far, something in between. Okay. أولئك, those. So this is a the plural of that. الذي, the one who. This is called ism mawsul, which is a relative pronoun. الذين, those who. So you can see most of these actually occur in the Quran actually, and even the name Zayd and the word Deen and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So these are just examples of asma, of isms. Okay, so these are in one category. What do all these have in common is that they indicate upon a meaning in themselves. So they don't necessarily rely on other words to give the meaning that they indicate, and there's no tense inherent to the word. Okay, don't think like, oh man, all these words, don't worry about memorizing these words. This is just kind of a demo of like, okay, the ism, and the ism is the main dish in nahwu and grammar, because the other two parts of speech, they're never a subject, they're never like really object or anything like that. They're just like functional words. They're just acting as they have jobs to do basically. Okay, the next part of speech, the fi'l, which is basically a verb. It's pretty synonymous to a verb. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so they come in multiple tenses and forms, and they require a subject. It's similar concept to English, but it's functionally different. In English, you always have the verb and the subject separated. In Arabic, we typically want to have it as one lafz, one utterance. It can be separated if need be, but typically we want to have it all together. The fi'l is defined as a word that has an independent meaning and a tense. So what's the difference between a fi'l and an ism? People in the chat. The tense, good. Inshallah, somebody's paying attention. Alhamdulillah. Okay. Somebody's not paying attention. So the tense is the main thing, right? They both have a meaning in themselves. The verb indicates upon a meaning, and it has a tense. So it's like a dual purpose thing. It has these base letters which give it its meaning, and then the form actually gives it the tense, and it conjugates with a subject. Okay. Okay, examples of the fi'l. So this is going to be pretty comprehensive as far as like the different forms, relatively comprehensive. Okay, so we have daraba, which means he hit, past tense. We have yadribu, he is hitting, will hit. This is present or future. Both can be used for that one. And notice that the dad, ra, and the ba, they're shared between the two words. Okay, this is important because in sarf, which is kind of etymology, morphology, we're dealing with verbs and how they change according to different tenses and according to the subject, which is connected to it, or not. But they share these particular letters, and that gives it the meaning. the rest of the words and the kind of form that it's in is going to give us other information, like the tense and the amount of people doing it, and whether it's active or passive, whether it's emphatic, whether it's all these different things. لا يضرب, he isn't hitting, won't hit. Negative, present, future. لن يضرب, he will never hit. Emphatic, negative, future. اضرب, hit. Imperative command. لا تضرب, don't hit. It's prohibition. لا يضربن, he will most certainly hit. ثم لتسألن, right? So all these forms are in the Quran, definitely, and they occur all over the place. So these are just examples of different verbs. The more that you know about this science, you'll be able to recognize what all these constitute one word. So these would constitute one laf, but they would constitute multiple words. So these ones are kind of tricky because these are all the singular forms, and the subjects are actually just assumed or hidden. But like if you have like the dual form, daraba, right, or darabu, they hit, then there would be a wow on it, and that would be a separate word. So the subject is a separate word, but they'll basically count it as one laf, one pronouncement. So when we see word counts of Quran, it's usually not words, it's usually pronouncements or utterances. Does that make sense? Yeah. Otherwise, because you'd have an ism and a fi'l, and so that you wouldn't be able to define both of them, right? In the same way, because then you say, well, it's also an ism, also a fi'l, right? Then you're basically like a Trinitarian of some sort, Binitarian. Okay. Bismillah. Harf. Okay, harf is a particle. Now it's different from the harf as a letter. These are complete words. So when we say the huruf of Arabic, the alphabet of the Arabic letters, right? So harf, like alif is a harf, lam is a harf, mim is a harf, right? As the Prophet said in the hadith. So those are letters, but this is a term used in grammar to refer to a word. And the reason they're called huruf, one interpretation or one kind of explanation is because a lot of them are just like one letters, right? Or they're very short. They're not like long, and they don't have many letters. Okay, so these are complete. The harf doesn't actually mean anything without other words. Okay, so this is very important to understand, especially for those who want to get into translations. This is a very key point. The harf is defined as a word whose meaning is dependent on at least another word and has no tense. Okay, so we can see kind of those three together now. If you want to build a little whatever table, you have like on one side meaning, tense, and then fi'l is going to check off both, ism is going to check off one, and harf is going to check off none, like independent meaning, right? So let's take a look at some of the huruf. And guys, we're going to tie this all in at the end and analyze Surah Al-Fatiha, inshallah. You'll see how applicable this is. Examples of the fi'l. Min. So again, we're just giving these meanings just for the sake of the demonstration. But again, these do not actually have meanings unless they're put into a tarkib, unless they're actually with other words, right? And I'll explain that when we go over Surah Al-Fatiha. But for now, min means from, of. It could also mean i.e. Bi. So this is like the harf ba. Yes. Inside out, you caught me. Yeah. Examples of that you get when you duplicate slides. Okay, you slip. So a good catch, mashallah. So these are examples of the harf. Okay. Wish I could edit it right now, but I can't. So bi, this is like Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So this has like 7+ meanings, but for now we'll just say with or in. Wa, this is usually used as a conjunction. Like, so if I say like, I saw Zaid and Bakr, right? I'm using that as a conjunction to give the ruling of seeing was done upon both of them, and I'm kind of linking them together in the same pronouncement. But it can also be used for qasam, to take an oath, like wallahi. I think somebody was asking about that once in the chat. Wallahi, right? So it's used for different things. La, negative particle. So this has multiple types. There's like the la for a verb. There's like la ilaha illallah. This is like the class negation la. And there's other types of la as well. Na'am, yes. Okay, so inna, indeed, used for emphasis. La'alla, perhaps, in hopes that. So you can see already that these, like, they literally need something else to actually have any meaning. Even ones like na'am, you might be like, well, that's a complete. That requires that there be some type of a situation of affirmation or negation, or whatever. So it requires that. So these are all completely dependent on getting their meanings. Yeah. Oh. So this is like when you are addressing somebody. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Oh. It's commonly mistranslated as OH, which is like a oh. Had it not been for, that kind of thing. So yeah is for nida, which means to call out. If you're gonna do istighatha. No, I'm just joking. We don't do istighatha. In, if. So this is a conditional particle. And this will have multiple sentences. Like, if you show up for class, then you will benefit. Un, that. So this is a tricky one to kind of. Yes, it is. You guys want me to like? You guys want me to exit the show? I'll end the show and change it. Yeah, it's supposed to say how to. Yep. Qad comes for emphasis. So this comes. قد أفلح المؤمنون comes in the Quran all the time. Allah. This is listen. So this is like to kind of like, get your attention. Ala la'natullahi alal zalimin kafirin, whatever, right? Listen carefully. Sa is, this comes on a verb, and it restricts it to the future. Hal, this is for interrogative. Okay, so this is like hal jaza'ul ihsani illa al ihsan, right? Is there any reward for good doing other than goodness or greatness or whatever, good stuff? Will ihsan be repaid with anything other than ihsan? Okay, so does this apply to the Quran? So up to this point, do we have any questions? Exactly. Any questions up to this point? Is every word always an ism fa'al harf? No. So every word is hal is it's an interrogative particle. So it takes, like, if I say Zaydun qa'imun, Zayd is standing, then I say hal Zaydun qa'imun, is Zayd standing? It turns the predication, like the informative sentence, into an interrogative sentence. So you just add it to the beginning. In Arabic, question marks, they come at the beginning, so it's pretty much like a question mark, really. Is it rhetorical? It's often used rhetorically, and I would argue in the Quran it's always used rhetorically, because Allah is never trying to get information from us, right? Like, so it'll be used, for example, as like to make us come to a realization. Sometimes it's like it's used for like inkar, to negate something. So in the Quran, I would argue that it's always rhetorical, but like in unless Allah is quoting somebody who uses it, I can't bring it to mind right now. But yeah, so in Nahu, we just learn how to use these words. What's the correct usage? In Balagha, then that's where it gets really spicy, when you learn the different usages, like why would you use this, when would you not use it, when would you go off the regular pattern. And so istifham or interrogative is a big one in that. Like it's actually awesome. And when you really start thinking about these usages, then you start like noticing, okay, well, what is this interrogative here? Like, what is Allah actually? What is the meaning of this sentence? Like, what is the purpose? What is Allah trying to, or what is Allah, saying with this particular ayah? What is this guy saying?
وقولهم إن قتلنا المسيح عيسى بن مريم رسول الله وما قتلوه وما صلبوه ولكن شبه لهم.
We can talk about that later, inshallah. Okay, so that's those are the 3 parts of speech. Now, again, every single word in the Quran will be one of those 3. Okay. Let me just see if I can. Oops. Can you guys? You guys can see, like, yeah. I didn't want to. I'll have to exclude that. So the huruf muqatta'at, we don't know exactly what they are. Okay. So can you guys see you can just see the presentation screen like open? Okay, good. So I wanted to have if I had my tablet, I could do some cool changing things up here, but okay. So now let's go through. Does this apply to the Quran? Obviously it does. So now we can think that, okay, well, how do I know what an ism, what a fi'l, and what a harf is? And the answer is going to be obviously through exposure. So it's going to take time, right? But some of them will be able to tell right away, right? So first off, B, right? So I remember when I first became Muslim, I thought like words were like Allahu Akbar. Like I thought it was like one word. Good, sub 7, good. B is harf. So let's give that we can make that blue, okay? Blue for harf, red for ism, and green for fi'l. Okay, so what is this word? Good, Abir. Ism is an ism. Right? So like the actual the actual way that we write ism is with the hamzatul wasl, right? Oops. Oh no. Oh no. Right, so we have it like this. So this is normally how we have it, hamzatul wasl, but and normally you keep the normally we keep the hamzatul wasl even if we don't use it. Right, but this is a special way. The Quran, the rasm of the Quran, the way it's written is it's written like that, and we don't change it. Even if like in normal writing and stuff, it's changed. It stays like that. Okay, so B, ismi. Okay, so this is an ism. Come on, it's gonna give me a hard time. I just got this nice application on my tablet too, where I can really like highlight things proper and all that. Okay. Next word, Allah. What's that? Good. Ism. So we got red. Ar-Rahman. Ism. Ar-Rahim. Inside out. You got it. That's right. Yeah. So he pulled that in. That's right. And we don't need to get too nitpicky, but this is the proper way. Is that the alif lam, and many scholars will actually say it's just the lam ta'rif. It's the lam is the actual harf, and the hamzatul wasl is just there to facilitate the pronunciation. But there's both opinions. Some say that it's both of them, and some say it's just the lam. Okay, so we will put that as there. And that's one of my. I really love the explanation of the lam, alif lam. It's very, very deep, and it shows you a lot. It gives you a lot. Okay, so that's there. Now, again, we can apply this to the entire Quran, and it's pretty fun actually. Okay, so now, I'll just call somebody out. Okay, Osman, what's alhamdu? I catch you sleeping? All right, champ, people's champ, what's alhamdu? What's fahi? Fahi? No, it's fi'l, you mean. So does it have, okay, so it's fi'l, all right. So what's the meaning? What's the meaning? Let's keep the champ on stage here. Not on stage, but what's what's the meaning of alhamdu? You can spell it wrong, it doesn't matter. Well, no, it's not alhamdu, just the word alhamdu. Okay, good. So what's the tense, champ? You said it was a fi'l. What tense is it? Past, present, or future? Or imperative? Present. Chat, is this L or W? Oh, Rose on ice. All right, yeah. So it's actually an ism. Okay, so that's why we need to understand the definition. Alhamdu, as everybody else, and I think as you know as well. Alhamdu, there's a meaning there. Hamida, those letters, it actually indicates towards the meaning of praise, but it's actually not linked to a tense. This is like a kind of a gerund, or like the genus for that, like to praise or praise. No tense. So if we wanted to get specific, we would say al is harf, hamd is ism. Okay. Okay, now let me pick on somebody. Abu Huraira. You feeling confident? Yeah, confident? Can I see everybody? I'll try. Okay, so what is lillahi? Ism. Good. That's partially correct. Anybody else want to help? Who's going to jump in? DP? Harf and ism. MashaAllah, inside out. Good. Okay. So li, this is a harf, and it's going to be hard for me to separate the two, because the word will bug out if you separate it. But basically it's an ism, so the word Allah is inside there, or is there, and then the word li is there. Laf jalala, exactly. Okay, so I can't separate the colors, but so the harf is li, so li, and then Allah, and then because it has a kasra, lillah, right? So it's two words, two separate words. Okay, Rob, who's up? Let's take Sammy. Sammy, Rob, is that ism, fi'l, or harf? Okay, ism. Good. Okay, so we're going to color that red. Al-alamin. What is this? Ism, fi'l, or harf? Teak. Teak tuck. I don't know if teak is fi'l. This guy, you just want there to be a fa'al, don't you, champ? Harf and ism. Good teak. MashaAllah. So we have the lam or the alif lam. That is a harf. Whoops. And alameen is a ism. Okay. Now, guys, this is like the most simplistic breakdown. And there's also another word that you guys missed. Does anybody know where it is? No. So that's part of lafz jalala for that.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
I think I don't know if it's yaza. There's a word that we can't see. What is it? I think that he knows, but let's see anybody else. The noon at the end. Let's forget about that. That's a whole separate thing, but two worlds. Mashallah. No, so in Arabic, we have a lot of words which are assumed or omitted. So this prepositional structure, lillahi rabbil alameen, this is actually not the predicate, but it's actually attached to the predicate, which would be something like, for example, thabitun, right? Like some kind of generic word like is established. It's kind of like copula verbs, right? So yeah, inside out, kind of like the word for is, but it will be context specific. So all praise is established or is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? For Allah the Rabbil Alameen. So that's another word. And you know, as you advance, this will be absolutely necessary for your grammatical parsing and your analysis, because this is the predicate, right? This is the word for is. Yeah, the word for is like copular verb. It's not necessarily mentioned in Arabic always, but usually isn't, just because it's not necessary. It's so obvious that it's not. But this can also change, right? So let's go back here. Now that we've talked about that, there's also, so is this a complete sentence? So when you guys say in the name of Allah, the extremely merciful, however you want to word that. So the reality is that this needs to connect to something, right? So these prepositional structures, which we're going to go into this like forever. This is going to be a major thing. So this structure is actually connected to something. Now, what is that thing? So for the basmala, it's usually whatever you're doing. So if we're starting the lesson, like whatever, Abda'u Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm starting in the name of Allah. Or if I'm going to recite, Aqra'u, I'm reciting Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. If I'm going to eat, Akulu, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So though that verb will actually be assumed at the beginning, right? You could say it, right? You could say Aqra'u Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, but we don't do that, right? We just say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. But this structure in itself is not a full sentence. It requires it needs to connect to something. It has to have the ta'alluq. It needs to be muta'alliq to something else. Okay, so don't worry if that's going over your head, but just understand that like there's a lot going on in Arabic. The first thing that we're doing is being able to kind of recognize the parts of speech, which we went over in the previous slide. So you're gonna have to go back and see, and we're gonna go more into that. So somebody was asking about al-alamin. So al-alamin is, yeah, the harf for the alif lam, and then alamin is basically a plural form of the word alam. So we're going to classify that as one word, and that's going to be an ism. Yeah, there's no word for of in Arabic That's a separate topic that we'll talk about. That's more of like a idafa or like possessive, but that has a really interesting discussion as well. But let's try to stick with the basics here. Okay, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. We already talked about those. Yeah, so okay, inside out. Thabata means to be established. Like, so that's kind of what, that's like the technical, just like the bare minimum of what you would need to have there to for Lillahi Rabbil Alameen to make sense. So yeah, so when we're talking about translation of Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, so depending on what it's connected to, it'll give a different meaning, right? So, and even this ba, the scholars mention, they'll tell you it has different meanings. One would be like isti'ana, which means to seek help, like nasta'inu, iyaka nasta'in, to seek help. So like I'm seeking help in the name of Allah. That's one meaning. One is ilsaq, one is like connection, one is so on and so forth. But those are more advanced things, guys. Just let's try to stick to the basics. We just want to analyze the words and which one does it follow. Okay, so we already did this in the basmala. These are both isms. Okay, Maliki Yawmiddin. Malik. Let's go sub 7. Ism. Good. Got that ism. Yomi. This would translate as day. Sebastian, what do you think? Guys, don't type it in until I want the people to see if they're paying attention. I'm not sure if Sebastian's still there. If I can speak Arabic decently, but I can't read. Oh, okay. Tujuha Hamoudi. I mean, the takeaway is like ism fal harf. There's 3 parts of speech in Arabic. And then so next we're gonna learn like this, like, okay, great, we're walking through this, but practically how do you know? Like when you open up a page of the Quran, you open up the Mus'haf, right? Now there's like, so many words. Can you guys see my camera? Okay, I can't see mine. So you open this up and you're like, oh dang, there's like, so many words there. How am I going to know which one's which? So obviously it's a journey, but the next discussions that we're going to have next week is the alamat of these words. So like, okay, well, what are the things that we usually see on the ism, right? So alif lam. If any word has alif lam, like this particular type of alif lam, then it's going to be an ism. If any word has a tanween, it's going to be an ism. If there's ever a possessive structure, it's going to be an ism, right? And so there's different like signs that we can take for the beginner to be able to recognize. But eventually you'll just know. Like I don't think that, alhamdulillah, I don't think that there is a single word that I wouldn't be able to analyze as far as ism fa'il or harf in the Quran. Like and if there is, then inshallah I'll look it up. But like that's a very rare kind of. Now obviously the more kind of advanced analyses or analyses, that's where you get you look into the different tafasir, into the kind of the ones about i'rab and whatnot. That's where that's going to be very useful. Same can speak Arabic, but very basic reading. Yeah, no worries. Like you get what you get. No, listen in the beginning. Yeah, so I mean that's, you kind of have to build off the beginning. So we went over like what an ism is, what a fi'l is, what a harf is, and so that's kind of like a prerequisite. So, all right, Yom, who's got this? What is ism, fi'l, harf? Ism, good. Crimson bat, harf. So does it indicate upon a meaning in itself? So that's kind of like the general way that we'll be able to tell. Even though later on we'll talk about words which are kind of like half and half. Like there is some dependency upon this word when it's used like in a possessive structure, but we'll talk about that. Hadith is an ism. Okay, ad-din. What do we got here? Harf and ism. Inside out. Yep. So al, this is harf, and ad-din ism. Most people are gonna like classify it as an ism, like the whole thing, but the more technical way is to consider. First lesson, if you're confused about this, just don't even the first lesson was just like theory about like language and sounds and stuff like that. So it's interesting, but main thing is this one. Okay. Oh, it's a repeat slide. All right. Now, إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. Who's just let's get somebody here. Teak. إياك, what is this? فعل إياك. What's the meaning of إياك? I'm just asking Teak, guys. You. Is there a tense? Is there a tense with you? Champ, you don't have to vent your frustrations. You can just leave and come back, inshallah. So, is there a tense to you? No guess. I don't know what that means. So yeah, there's no tense, right? It's actually, what is iyaka? Like it's an ism, but in English, how do we classify this? So that's a good translation, but like as far as a word's concerned, like what type of a word is it? Is it a proper noun? It would be an object, but noun, it's a noun. Man, you guys, your English grammar is not not that great either. So it's a pronoun, right? The pronoun. So it's referring to a noun. Referring to a noun. Guys, if I ever like, you know, scold you guys, please don't hold it against me. I gotta do it, right? Pay back my teachers, they hounded me, so it's a pronoun, right? Now the cool thing is that like normally you have this type of a pronoun after the verb, like na'budu ka. That's what the normal kind of structure is. But because it was brought forth, there's emphasis on that. That's why we say you alone, right? So that would be something we talk about in balagha, like taqdeem. When you bring words, like when you move words around, Arabic, you're able to do that most of the time, but it's gonna have an effect, right? Like if you just do it for no reason, then people are like, why are you emphasizing that, right? So, and obviously this exclusifies the ibadah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so iyaka is a ism, okay? And remember guys, yeah, I agree, champ. Like if you're having issues, just stop typing in the chat. Like somebody throw this guy a lifesaver or something, but like it's okay, just take one for the team, and if it's not working, then come back later, inshallah. So all pronouns, well, this will be part of our next lesson. All pronouns are isms, okay? So that's important because that's gonna, like, if you look, there's probably like 10 plus pronouns on every page of the Quran, most probably. So that's gonna now, like, once you have all the rules, like, or all the kind of signs and all that, you'll be able to tell what almost every word is right away. And then once we do that, then we kind of go to the next level of like, okay, different breakdowns of words and types and stuff, and then it just keeps making everything more and more clear. Okay, na'budu. What is this? Joshy G. JG. Champs on point this time. If you say fi'l enough, it's eventually going to be right. Yeah, this is a verb, okay? This is a fi'l mudari', okay? So this is a verb. We said we're going to make it green. Okay? So this has What's the meaning? Yeah, Sammy, good. Worship. And what's the tense? Present, good. Yep. So the cool thing about this verb is that it can be present and future tense. And so, yeah, that's really, it's unique because Allah can also use that to indicate upon multiple meanings. Like in Surah Al-Kafirun, right? I think that there's some tafsir about that he uses the same word but in a different. We don't do it now, and we're not going to do it there. So, okay, good. Na'budu. Now, I'll just let you guys know. So there is like an assumed pronoun here, which is basically nahnu. Okay, and we'll learn more about this, guys, when the time comes, right? But there's like a pronoun that's kind of built in to this verb form. Okay, and that is going to be, what is that going to be? Pronouns are all ism, fi'l, or harf. Ism. Good. Good. Keep that in mind, guys. If you just memorize these little points and then you're analyzing, you're like, okay, well, what is this word? Ism. Good. Good. Okay. Wa. What is this? Harf. I see. On point. Wa. Okay. It doesn't mean anything until you have, like, this is for conjunction, right? So unless you have something before it and something after it, it actually doesn't mean anything. So it's completely dependent in its meaning. And what tense does it have? None. Good. Okay. So it says harf. Iyaka. That's the same as before. That is a ism, pronoun. Okay. Nasta'een. What is this? Ism, fi'l, ism, fi'l, fi'l. Good. I see. Good. Yeah. Okay. So this is it's a mirrored sentence from the first. So you alone do we do ibadah for? We worship. Wa iyaka nasta'een. So this is isti'ana, which means to talab al-aun, to seek help. So this is the same verb form, except this is like an advanced form. So it has extra letters in it, which will, again, these are all things that are going to come out. So we're going to have the same thing. This is going to be a verb, and we're going to have the same assumed pronoun, which is like floating around somewhere, right? Nahnu. Okay. Red is ism. So that's going to be like nouns, pronouns, stuff like that. And Tuhuja, Hamudi, bro, don't worry about it. Like, I remember when I first started doing this stuff, I didn't know English right, and I just accepted Islam, and I was like, what is this? And I had like other like students who were already kind of studying for a while, and I was just like, oh, just crying and crying, like, what is this? But eventually you just start catching on to it. Like it's the same thing with any science or ulum that you don't know. Like especially like philosophy and stuff like that, man, like you have to read the same thing like 10 times until you're like, okay, can start kind of understanding a little bit. So don't get downtrodden. Yeah, no, it'll make more sense, especially when you go away and come back. Okay. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. So we'll just try to hurry this up. I'm just gonna analyze the rest here, guys, because I gotta actually go. Got jujitsu class coming up. So ihdi, quick. What is this? Anybody? I just want to see. There's some fi'l, harf. So this is actually a fi'l. This is a command verb from. It's like give us hidayah, right? Ihdi. So ihdi, right? So this is guide. It's a command, but we're not ordering a law. It's like a request. It's like a we're seeking this. And na is a pronoun, and so that's going to be an ism, and this is like an object. Guide us. As-sirat al-mustaqim. Okay, we have alif lam. This is harf. So alif lam is a harf. Sirata is ism. And the same thing with this. Okay, alif lam harf. And I gotta get my tablet on go. I'm like clicking with my mouse here. This is, inshallah, we're gonna get it all figured out because we want to do a lot of analysis. This is like my favorite thing. I love doing i'rab of the Quran and analysis. And so every lesson we're gonna basically go into the Quran or hadith or some ash'ar, some poetry or whatever, and we're gonna analyze things. That way you can really kind of connect with it. Okay, mustaqim, harf and ism. Good, I see. Now the last. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Oh. Okay. Ism. الذين. Anybody remember? So i'rab is like, it's a little bit different. I'rab is like justifying grammatical cases, right? We'll talk more about that, or the lack thereof, right? Like kind of analyzing things in terms of like grammatical state or lack thereof. Okay, so الذين. So الذين is just an ism. I like that thought though, I see. There's probably some opinion that is both, but it's usually considered an ism. So that is a relative pronoun, those who. An'amta. Okay, so here we have verb an'ama yun'imu. In'am, right, is to bestow ni'mah, to give a ni'mah. Ta is the pronoun. This is pronoun are all ism. Good. Didn't turn red. Okay. Alayhim. So here, this is an interesting one. What is this, guys? What is alayhim? Ism. So the word ala is a harf. Okay, so this is harf, and him is actually a pronoun. Okay, so it's like alayka, assalamu alayka, assalamu alaykum. Those two words. Okay, and yeah, so that's actually ism. Ghayr, I'll just tell you it's an ism. Okay, we can talk. No, this is referring to those upon whom Allah bestowed bounty. Okay. Here we got al-maghdubi. Okay, this is passive participle. This is an ism. Alayhim, same thing. Wa, what is this, guys? Harf, good. What is la? Good. Ad-dallin, alif lam, harf, dallin. Ism, good. MashaAllah, so you guys are getting it. Like it's actually not that difficult. Now the next level is to be like, okay, this is a subject, this is a predicate, this is an object, this is a prepositional, this is we have all these different lists that we're gonna do. So we're gonna revisit this topic next time, but we're gonna learn the signs. So now that we kind of you kind of see, okay, all pronouns, alif lams, these kind of little things, these little cues that'll get used to it. And then as we move forward, you'll just fill in the blanks of all the other things, and it makes it almost necessary for you to know that this is this type of word. So, inshallah, I gotta run for now. MashaAllah, you guys try to study it, go over the slides or the video or whatever, inshallah. I think it's just Tuesday and Wednesday for now, inshallah. But we'll see. Maybe if you guys are interested and ready, inshallah, maybe we can do Thursday as well. But yeah. Okay, inshallah. Make dua for those brothers. SubhanAllah. You guys, you have no idea that in the jail, man, that was like that was nuts, man. That was wild. I wish I tried to get permission to record it, but they're very strict. It's like a max security prison. What's up, Icy?
Assalamu alaikum. No, that was a very good lesson, mashallah. I wanted to say that.
Guys, like I'd say this, like I'm in prison. Yeah, I'm at my house with my wife. It's prison. No, mashallah. No, like these lessons, like especially when you're beginning grammar and stuff, it's almost like every day you're just like, oh, it's like over your head. The next day you chip away a little bit, and then eventually you get good with it. But don't if you're overwhelmed every day, that's normal. Don't worry about it. Like every day, like in my 6-year program that I studied in, I was pretty much like overwhelmed every day. I was like, oh no, all this new commentary and this and that. And yeah, so I went to a prison and mashallah, 5 brothers took shahada all at once. It was like, Ashhadu Allah, one of the guards, he was a Muslim, he came into the room and he was just like, he just wanted to watch and stuff. And it was like, man, it was like, that was nuts, man. That was like, if I could have recorded that, man, that would have been like, subhanAllah. But so strong brothers, they're like, I'm gonna go there in like a week, maybe bi-weekly, inshallah, and teach them stuff. So, but now I'm thinking like there was 2 that took shahada a few weeks back, and then these guys, like, man, they're gonna spread the deen in there, right? It's gonna be like a full Muslim jail. We'll have like, I'll have to
Alhamdulillah.
go teach the course in there.
How long until they can get out?
They're all different, so I'm not actually sure about the ones today. I didn't have too much time to kind of get the individual stories. But I gotta go, guys. Assalamu
Alright.
alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alright, alright, that's it. You can all go now. Shoo. Leave. Oh.